Hey Timmy, it's Dr. Scott. I have some feedback for you on your SA2 draft. Just a quick reminder that the four things that I'm really looking at in this essay are your thesis statement, your ability to put together an argument that's interesting, that's got some depth to it, and it's clear. Also looking at your ability to use a couple quotes and details from the murals to support that argument. Also looking at your organization of ideas, and that means that you are grouping ideas together in a way that makes some sense, and that you're transitioning between ideas, but that you also have a reason for why you have your ideas located in the place that you have them. And finally, I'm looking at your ability to integrate sources. So those are the four issues that I'm looking at. This is a draft, and so there's no shame in a draft. I think what I was really happy to see in this draft is that you've got a lot more writing here. That did not happen with the first essay, but it has happened here. And I'm also seeing quite a bit of solid description, especially in the last paragraph. You got some pretty solid description going on there in that last body paragraph. So there's things to be proud of here. There's things that I'm happy to see. Where the essay needs work is finding its argument. And right now, you say that these murals show the town's values through the colors, setting, and the people. And I think that this is a good start as far as a roadmap for the thesis statement. But this right here is not very specific. So just saying that it's showing the town's values, what specific values are being shown here? And you've picked two murals that are really kind of interesting in showing values. So I mean, and I'll talk about this later on, but there's different values that are going on here, and the question that I have for you is, like, how do you get them connected? That's, I think, really kind of the next step, is figuring out what that argument is that connects these two. What are those values that you're talking about? That's a big issue to address. I don't think the approach that you took with the last essay, and I've still yet to grade that revision, where I give you feedback and then you kind of work on it on your own and really don't check in with me. I don't think that's going to work here, because that's a big idea issue that I think you need feedback on. And so either working with me or a writing center tutor, I think, is really the way to go. So we need to figure out what those values are. What are the values that they're trying to get across? I've seen some folks use that there's a sense of togetherness, that there's a sense of pride, that there's the idea that we focus on each other, on our relationships with others when things are bad, and when things are good, we enjoy ourselves individually. You don't see a lot of people here. You see a lot of focus on the setting. Here, although we've got this disaster that happened, there's a lot of focus on what's happened to the individual people. So there's arguments to be made here, and you need to make one. So you need to get off just that there are values being shown, and actually talk about what specific values are being shown. And remember, you're talking about two different murals. So what's a value that's relevant to this mural and also relevant to this mural? It's tricky, but I think you can definitely do that. You write things in here that make me want to ask you questions, like I have this here in my comment, like what is color trying to help us understand about the people in the town? And I think answering questions like that, I think, can get you to a thesis statement that can be pretty powerful. You're noting a lot of the differences between the two murals, and they are very different. Definitely when it comes to color, they are very different. I think the overall point to think about is, like, what's the point to those two differences? What is it saying about the town and its values, that idea, that word that you mentioned in the thesis statement? What is it saying about the town's values that we have these two different things? That we have these two different murals that are saying something about the town. And what are they saying about the town's values that we have those two different murals? Yeah, I think that's my feedback for a lot of these, like, little paragraphs here where you're trying to figure out exactly where you're going. What you do have, like here in this last body paragraph, you got some solid details, like I said earlier. You need to get them to support an argument, and right now it's just kind of listing a lot of details. But I do want you to know that, like, as far as like being able to describe, like, you did a pretty solid job there, man. It's just getting that description to support an argument. That is really the next step, and that's a very important step for where this essay needs to go. When I got to the end of the essay, I was thinking that maybe this togetherness idea is something to think about. It's a little different with the Chillicothe Street mural. Like, we stand together, especially when things are tough, but when times are good, we kind of do our own thing. And so maybe what you could argue is that when things are rough, this town does find a sense of community. It does find a sense of togetherness and unity, and we come together. And we do so more in bad times than good. Remember that the 1937 flood mural, you see a lot of people. You don't necessarily see a lot of people in the Chillicothe Street mural. What's that saying about this town? That could be an interesting idea to follow up. So you've got some promise here, but you do have quite a bit of writing and rewriting to do to get yourself to an argument that you can use and support with a lot of awesome description. So you've got some good description here when you're describing people, but we need to get that supporting an argument, and right now it's not really supporting an argument. I think there's also sources that need to be used, and we need to talk about organization at some point, but it's figuring out that overall thesis statement, that overall argument, that is really the next step. So reach out to me, reach out to a Writing Center tutor, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this essay goes. All right, Timmy, I'll talk to you soon.